Welcome back, one and all, to another episode of review of Kamen Rider Revice. If you're wondering, was a little sick for episode 17 when that episode came out, but we're back with episode 18's episode. So we have two episodes, so gonna have the ad probably right here, and then we're gonna talk about the episodes now, which also give the episode titles. And yeah, episode 17, Deepening Bonds is the True Value of Buddies. So this is the New Year's episode. Basically everyone's wrapping up their Christmas celebrations at the beginning, and well, Sakura is questioning about the mysterious basement that she didn't really go into from episode 16, and basically everyone's just relaxing for a minute. Ikki, everyone's relaxing for a minute before a mysterious person comes in asking if this is the Phoenix Consultation Office. Phoenix Consultation Office. For those of you who don't remember, way back when Ikki's dad, I forget his name at the moment, he's not in the episode. He's not in episode 18 either. He's away for some reason at the hospital again. Anyway, Ikki's dad, in order to both help out and do his YouTube thing, basically said that anyone who had any information on dead men or people who might be in contact with dead men can stop over at the house and, give the information to Ikki to help him out. And so I guess it's still considered the Phoenix Consultation Office, which you'd think Phoenix would have a spot to report dead men activity, but I guess they don't even have a hotline for this stuff. So I guess it's literally just the Igarashi house. Anyway, Sakura was approached by this guy, not Yukimi. What's his name? I don't remember his name. Anyway, she's approached by this guy, and he basically says he is a friend of Julio's before he was Julio, and I think his name before he was called Julio was Takumi. And now I'm having Fire Emblem flashbacks. And he basically says that he was Takumi's best friend, and they were in high school. His name's Yosuke. Yosuke. Yeah, Yosuke was Takumi's best friend, but, typical high school anime, there was some bullies. The bullies basically bullied both him and Takumi, and forced him to rip up a very valuable card that Takumi had, I assume, won in a game, and won in a game tournament. I don't know if this card doesn't look like a fake card, but I mean, Toei does have the budget to make fake cards. So I don't know if this is actually part of a real game or not, and I'm kind of curious. Anyway, so, he ripped up the card, and Takumi didn't take that well, and he was moving away at the time. And so, Yosuke tried to make it up to him, but failed to, and then next thing he knows, he sees Takumi's face as Julio on the most wanted list. Which, did he not see? Because the dead men's faces weren't really all over the place, but they still had the video footage of them from the attack in episode 1. So it's like, did he not see that footage, or was Julio's face just never officially shown on TV? I don't know. Anyway, meanwhile, Ikki is at Phoenix trying to get a power-up because he wants a new way to fight the dead men so that he can save people from, the Giftarian dead men, the Phase 3s. He wants to save them and not kill them anymore, especially since he's still reeling from, the Chameleon dead man's death, because he did try to save him. So George introduces the Volcano Vice Amp to him, a new power-up that will essentially let him do it, but he needs to be 100% synced up with Vice, or else he'll suffer a major backlash from its use. So Ikki decides to do the training, which includes going into VR and having a simulated battle with Revice, Revi in the simulation. So him and Vice train. It's honestly pretty cool. this is basically the hyperbolic time chamber again, but it makes sense that they do this because, again, they say that you have to be in sync. He has to be in sync with Vice, or else he'll suffer backlash from the Vice Stamp's use. So this is a pretty cool way of getting the training done for that, and a good kind of use of VR. And it's also kind of funny to see Ikki and Vice in full henshin, this kind of with the machine plugged into them. It's a kind of funny image, and I kind of like it. Anyway, Osaleta decides now's the time to basically make his big return, and uses the Gifu-sama Vice Stamp on some of the cultists that he's managed to gather. He gathered the few remaining cultists who basically decide that, they still don't like, they still say they're being stepped on by human society. So they say that it's best to just wipe the world clean. And so he gathers them up and does an attack and unleashes his new weapon, the Giftarian. Now, the Giftarian is interesting because it's only using the Gifu. It's only using Gifu Vice Stamp, the Gifu stamp, but not a standard Vice Stamp. Now, there's a reason for this because the Giftarians, they completely eat the human that they're summoned from inside out. So there's no human host left at all, and it's just a demon, which is kind of creepy and really cool. So anyway, there's a big fight. Hard to comment on fights. It's a really cool big fight, and the cultists actually get involved because they hold down demons and live in order to give the Giftarian a shot to attack them. And it's really it's like cold as ice, and I love it. Anyway, blanking on stuff. So, Osaleta's also specifically targeting demons because he wants the Demon's Driver for some reason. I don't know specifically why he wants the Demon's Driver. He might want it for his own power-up, but I don't know. Because apparently Demon's Driver works the same way that the standard Vice Stamp use works, but different. I don't know specifics. But anyway, Ikki shows up after the translocation, because Kamen Rider fights at the translocation. He uses the Volcano Vice Stamp and goes into his newest form. I forget the name of this. I just call it Volcano for right now. And he fights the Giftarian, but it's disappointed because the woman that was used doesn't pop out of it. And so Osaleta insults him, and he attacks Osaleta, and then bursts into flames because feedback with the Vice Stamp, I guess. And that is the episode. Ooh, boy, I'm happy that episode 18's out now, so I can talk about that one on top of this ending. So now on to episode 18. Buddy's trajectory, a miracle of fire and ice. So Ikki is now in the hospital with burns all over his body because of, that happened. While she's leaving the hospital because she feels partly responsible because she feels it was her idea to try to save the level 3s that might have influenced Ikki into going so hard, even though we know Ikki was going to end up doing that regardless. While she leaves, she finds Julio, who, despite being, one of the most wanted people in the world, easily walked into a hospital with no one, panicking or freaking out at the moment. So, Julio basically wants to see his friend Yosuke, and he's slowly remembering, as he's getting his memories back, he feels partially bad for what happened with Yosuke, because when he was leaving, because remember, his family moved, he spotted Yosuke attempting to meet up with him one last time, but he was literally getting beaten by the bullies. Like, I swear the dude did a kick to the face in that scene. I'm just like, wait, why is no one calling the cops on this clear assault? And so, Julio feels really bad, or I guess I'll say Takumi feels really bad and wants to see his friend again. Meanwhile, Ikki is basically in the bed having a nightmare vision about basically his character development. I guess they're working this world's biggest or Japan's biggest busybody thing up until a full arc for his character, which I guess is fine. And then he has to talk with Vice, where he even apologizes to Vice because he says, me putting my life in danger puts your life in danger. I didn't really think about that. I'm sorry about all that, Vice. And so we have a moment where Vice dives into Ikki and basically tells Ikki, it's fine, you don't seem to remember it, but we're basically the same person, or I'm a part of you. Which, again, that was kind of an element with the demons, or at least the 3 demons that the Igarashi siblings have inside of them, that they're all basically parts of them that were at some point in time cast off. Love-Ku is Sakura's weakness. Daiji is essentially I meant Kagero is essentially Daiji's inferiority complex made manifest. And, well, we don't necessarily know what Vice represents to Ikki. Maybe we'll find out with due time. I've heard some theories that he represents, I've heard theories that, especially since, if you remember episode 1, the Ikki's soccer trophies that were in the background, that, Vice represents Ikki's repressed emotions or something, or his dreams he used to have of playing soccer or whatever. Nothing confirmed yet. We just, Vice confirming to Ikki that he is a part of him that was separated for one reason or another. Anyway, he uses, again, I like the fact that they remember this and decide to use it more frequently. He uses the T-Rex Vice stamp to let Vice out again and carry him to the Deadman fight because, of course, it's a Deadman fight. Because, well, while Takumi reunites with his friend, and they have a pretty almost sweet moment where he hands him back the card that he ripped up that represents their friendship. Ocelot decides now's the perfect time to be a dick and basically kills fucking Yosuke with the Giftarian Vice stamp and makes another Giftarian. I assume all Giftarians just look the same, which is kind of sad, but they all use one stamp, so I guess that makes sense. Anyway, he unleashes the Giftarian, so I guess like literally anyone can be used as long as you just poke him with the Gift Vice stamp, which is probably a reason to really get this thing back as soon as possible. So he uses that and fucking kills Yosuke, and one last time Yosuke apologizes to Takumi. And, well, Yosuke is like, okay, have fun dying now. Julio fucking goes nuts. This is apparently called a Riot Dead Man. And I assume that you just have to reach a certain level of being purely justifiably pissed off to reach this level of power. Which I can't wait to see what's left to turn into this for some reason. And I imagine that we'll only see the commanders turn into this, similar to the color versions that served as power-ups for the main generals for the Megiddo. Anyway, Julio goes full Riot Wolf and just wrecks the Giftarian before attacking Oceletta and wrecking him. Oceletta, being Oceletta, decides to dip out, and then Sakura and Daiji have to fight Julio because he cannot control himself and is just rampaging right now. Oceletta watches the fight because he's somewhat curious and he's getting some fun out of watching everyone he hates fighting each other. Ikki arrives in the fight and he uses the Volcano Vice stamp and officially uses it this time without turning into a fucking barbecue. And it's a really cool fight. Like, I mean really cool. No pun intended, because, Vice in his form has ice powers because of the Revi Vice stamp. I guess he gets the cast off ice powers. And so, it's a really cool fight. And then they obviously beat Julio. And he doesn't die, so that's a plus. His power seems to still be absorbed by the gift coffin, but at least Takumi's still alive. And Oceletta decides to be a dick and tries to kill him because Oceletta is pure asshole right now. Before, I can't remember her name. Before Aguilera shows up and uses a bee shield to protect Takumi, and then leaves. She doesn't fight. She gives a look at Sakura for some reason or another. It's a hint at their bond or something, which could hint that Sakura and her are going to have a big fight, or they're going to be best friends later on, or maybe also Aguilera will die to give Sakura a power-up, which I want it to be a giant bee gun, if it is. But anyway, she leaves with Takumi because he's still loyal to her, even though he's not a demon anymore because he had that literally beaten out of him. And so the siblings go home in a rather touching scene with Vice still carrying Ikki on his back. It's really interesting to see the other siblings actually interact with Vice for more than 5 minutes. I mean, not in the middle of a fight, because they don't really do that. I wonder if Sakura could use her Vice stamp to let Love Ku out. I mean, logically, she could if she wanted to. Can Daiji use the Bat Vice stamp to let Kagero out? Would Kagero just make a Daiji copy? Or would that now work? Because unlike the others, he's basically inside of Daiji. That's all. That's kind of interesting to think about. We also see Hiromu, who's going to the doctor, the Phoenix physician. That rhymes. And she basically tells him that physically and internally, he's 80 years old. Like, apparently the use of the Demon's Driver has artificially aged him to be an octogenarian, and tells him that he should not transform again. So he's probably going to transform again and then die. But at least that's for next week's episode. So, how were these episodes? I honestly really liked them. Like I said, Revice hasn't really had a bad episode yet. I mean, it has some lackluster ones, but not like full-on bad. But this one was a really, really good one, and I just like the story. As far as generals go, Julia was kind of just like the interesting, just like the starter general. Like, the ones that always show up and die off first. But, the series decides to make it a little bit more interesting with this backstory, as well as not killing him as he's still alive. And that could lead into the plot later on, one way or another, most likely focused on Aguilera in some way, considering his loyalty to her, and maybe bridging a stronger bond between Aguilera and Sakura. Again, his loyalty to Aguilera is shown to make 100% sense, considering she essentially saved him, and that whole smile thing that keeps coming back. And every time I hear it, I just immediately think of Ultraman Trigger, because that's also that guy's catchphrase. And it's like, is that a common saying in Japan, or is that just a weird coincidence? Or did one inspire the other? Anyway, Oceletta continues to be an absolute dick, and I love it, because we need at least one complete asshole of a villain, and Oceletta being that complete asshole really works. He's just like, I'm gonna kill your friend in front of you, and then have his fucking monster form kill your ass, because that's just what I do. I also like this story for Ikki. It's been a while since we've had like a really big Ikki character focus episode. I mean, we've had like little moments here and there, obviously because he's the main character, but for the most part it's focused on either Daiji, Sakura, or even the Dead Men's characters. It's good to have an episode that focuses solely on Ikki's character and the growth that he's experienced through the series. Still no dad in these two episodes, which is kind of weird, but not really a major thing. So overall, I have to say, I liked the episodes. It's a cool intro to the Volcano Vice stamp, and yeah, again, it's what Revice continues to not really have any bad episodes. This is still really good. I only have one question. Like I said earlier, would Daiji's, would Kagero take on another form if he was pushed out of Daiji with the Bat Vice stamp? Like, would he just take on a standard Dead Man form that's just based on a bat, or would he get his own unique form, similar to how Love Ku and Vice work? Other thoughts. I wonder what will happen for Aguilera to make her go riot, because again, it seems to be what they're going to do. The Commander Dead Men are going to all go riot form and basically be used for a big fight. And also wonder what will eventually happen to Oceletta. Will he become the main big bad of the series, or will he get absorbed in the Gifu, or will he, get his riot form and then get killed off. We don't know yet, and there's some hintings at some more other sinister forces hiding in the background that we don't know of as of yet. And yeah, that's Revice. Still pretty good. I'm liking the series, liking the suits. The volcano suit's really good. It's good to see Vice get the Revice upgrade, the Revi upgrade. Although it feels like he's getting a backwards upgrade. But overall, good episodes for a pretty good series. Now, if only Toei could cut it out with the accidental racism. Oh god, those preview pics for that special did not help anything.